Ospreys away then.
Yeah.
Potential banana skin on a cold, wet, horrible December Sunday.
They've been a banana skin for a lot of people, haven't they, in that competition? I wouldn't say the banana skin. They've beaten Munster, beaten Ulster, lost to the Sharks. What, they're 4th or 5th in the comp? They're not a bad team. Not a banana skin. By any means, it's going to be tough down there. Went down there with Sarries a few years ago and drew 12 all. So I'm under no illusions about how tough it's going to be, as you say, with the conditions potentially being a leveller. And us still striving to get some consistent form.
Yeah, Toby Booth's done a good job there, hasn't he? Sort of, they've been improving incrementally under him, and the attack took a little bit of time to get firing, but they're starting to make progress there, and they're a hard nut to crack as well, aren't they, defensively?
Yeah, I'm looking at. They've got good kickers, so you've got to be disciplined. Both in Anscombe and Myler. Myler, the Peter Pan. I don't know how he's still playing, but he's.
Is he older than you?
No, he's not. But he was playing when I was just started coaching. Like me and Nobby were having a laugh about it because he was at Northampton, and he was young. I think he was 19 then. So it's to see him still out there doing his due. Like, it's pretty impressive, and old on his own. They do try and hide him in the backfield a little bit, so I take from that what you will in terms of some of his defensive qualities, but his kicking game and his passing game second to none. So good kickers, discipline's got to be good. They maul half of the set piece, half of the lineouts. They maul, so they back the maul, and they maul for pens. The scrum's gone well. They had Munster and Ulster up front, 2 really good scrummaging sides. So already they're a team that's difficult to beat, aren't they? Really difficult to beat. And you ally that to some of their unpredictability in attack, and if they're able to keep the ball live, then yeah, you're on the back end of a sore loss. That's a long way down there, a long way back home. So like I say, we're under no illusions. Got to get all your fundamentals right with them, and then with an Italian ref against a Welsh team in Europe, the breakdown's everything. Like, it's everything. Otherwise, the whole thing just becomes an absolute shit fight. So it's just as well we've come in last week, innit, and that week off, so we can work on our game a little bit more and get all these things ticked off.
Whereabouts do you sit in terms of like your approach to Europe? Because if you just look at the table, you're probably not where you want to be.
Yeah.
Your performances haven't been that bad, have they? But a few results have gone against you. So how are you approaching Europe? Is it a different focus, or is it a chance to sort of get that momentum that you need?
Both of those things. Has to be a different focus. Has to be, because it's not the Premiership, but it's a really exciting one to frame it as probably the world's best club rugby competition. It is. It's got the best teams in it, and so by association, you have to include yourself as that, one of those best teams. And I put it to the lads. I asked them on Tuesday. I said, look, what's this mean to you in terms of this kind of team that we want to be? And they spoke about it being a welcome break, sabbatical away from the Premiership where we can gain some momentum. They said exactly that. So that's what they're looking to put into effect this weekend.
Dive in. Can you think back to last season and tell us a bit about that La Rochelle game? Because I remember maybe that you weren't necessarily given a decent shot of going over there and doing anything, and I remember you afterwards, maybe you surprised people that you were in it until that contentious decision. How do you look back on that in terms of how you value this competition, and what did the lads say about how they value this competition themselves?
The contentious decision in terms of
I'm potentially misremembering. Was there a fairly contentious decision with a TMO that a try got awarded without us seeing another replay or something like that?
Oh, there's always them in there. There's nothing that stuck out in my mind in terms of us not getting what we deserved, I guess, in that game. But we were in it and on it, and probably on top of them actually in that first half. We let in a couple of really soft tries and a couple of one good try that took the game away from us for that last 30. But it's like I guess it's coming back to that any kind of back end of a competition where you're playing the best teams, and that old cliche where you have to have lost a few games before you end up winning a final. It felt a bit like that. It felt like maybe at the start a little bit lucky to be there, and then at the end of that semi-final against Exeter and the game before that we probably should have won. The quarter-finals at La Rochelle, our best performance that preceded that against the Scarlets, then they start to believe that they weren't lucky, that they deserved to be there. So it's that experience that they end up taking back in a year later, and understanding that we're not there just because we finished well in the Premiership. We are, we are one of the better teams in Europe.
Is that for that reason? And just going on the kind of answer that you gave to John's question, does that give you? Is it almost a reaffirmation of how good a side you are, that you're, despite kind of stuttering a little bit in the league, you now are in the best club competition in the world, and not only that, you back yourselves to get to the later stages of it, I imagine. Yeah,
you have to. You really, really have to. Otherwise, you're never going to do it. It's that the old adage of you aim for the stars, hit the moon type thing. I'm full of cliches tonight, aren't I? As I said, like we've had the odd game, as you know, that's been very, very good, and we've competed against all the other good sides, but we haven't had a consistent performance with this group of players that we've now got back for the longest stretch of the season. So it's about time we started picking up some speed, I guess, if you like, for want of a different description. You do that through consistency in selection and the players you have available, the quality of players as well, add to that. We've got all them, we've got pretty much a full team barring Manu. And consistency of training, of good training, not just training, but really applying themselves. And they're coming Monday, really energised. They've had 2 really good training days, and they're really excited about what this cup holds for us and what we can do in terms of now building some momentum together. So there's loads of things to get excited about, and it's Christmas. It's Christmas though, isn't it? So if you're a tight bunch, and it's a good time of the year where you can get tighter, and they've talked about as well about this time of the year, and I'm sure you get this because you're always at games and stuff, but you can get what's the word? You can feel like you're a bit hard done to in some ways, because all your mates and your families are having time off, and they're getting on the sauce and they're enjoying themselves, and you can't, because you've got the best job in the world. But at this time of the year, sometimes if you look at it that way, you don't feel like that. You have to make sacrifices. You have to. So it's about making that sacrifice worthwhile, because everyone's doing it. You can kind of dip your toe in over this time of the year and still go out for the odd drink and feel like you're a little bit hard done to because you don't get any time off with your families. Or you can say, right, no, this is not a lot, but it's a brilliant time of the year, and the best competition in the world, club competition in the world. And what's more, like, we want to show people that there's more to us than what we've shown already, and that's a reframing of it, isn't it? We can actually have a brilliant Christmas in doing all those things. So when I say it's Christmas, it wasn't just tongue in cheek. I think it's a time of the year where you can piece it together as much as all the things that I've already talked about, the refreshing and then showing how good we are in this comp.
You mentioned Manu out. Anyone? Is that it? So it's Faf still a while?
Yeah. Sorry, Faf's still a while. And Manu. So that's everyone else is. Cobus Visa still with a little ankle injury, but everyone else is up for selection. So
happy days.
I'll let you a little secret, you know, because we talk a bit about brotherhood here, and that was a conversation on Tuesday. Like, what's brotherhood mean to us now, right now, this part of the year, this time of the season? They talked all about these things that I've been mentioning. We've got 7 brothers involved this weekend in the squad. 7 brothers. Like, you're not going to get tighter than that here.
Yeah.
I'm not listing no names. Let them pick them out of the hat to see.
Nice.
Guess who they are.
Thanks, Al.
Cheers, Charlie.
Alex, how you?
What's that? What dog is that?
The usual save the house.
Yeah.
You mentioned that the players bounced in and were energetic coming into training on Monday. I'm just curious, with the team bonding that you did, how important is team bonding? Was that a factor in them coming in as enthusiastic as they were? You had the break, because I mean, I think at Saracens you placed a huge premium on the team bonding and getting away together as a team, a collective, and just doing something other than rugby, you know. Yeah,
I think it was. The feedback was very strong. That it had a really positive effect. The few days that we had in London, and everyone kind of wanted time off. That was the general consensus, to spend with family, and we gave them some time off over the week. But I knew how important it was to come together and get a bit loose, I guess. Just the act of that, and it wasn't just getting drunk. We had little activities and stuff for them to do, which forced them into some conversations and some small groups, some cooperation. But the feedback coming in from all quarters, it was really post the event, a really worthwhile thing to do. Had a great time, one of the best socials, and I honestly believe that that's kind of money well spent. Although it's hard to convince like owners and stuff, because it's intangible, innit, what you're trying to build there. It's crucial. Even when you think you're tight, there's always levels you can go to get deeper, to strengthen those bonds of friendship, to be a stronger brotherhood, or whatever you want to call it.
Okay, so that was just a couple of days in London after the game, I'm correct, yeah?
Yeah, Sunday, Monday, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And I'm just wondering then, like in the pandemic era, I mean, how difficult is it just to get that time away, given you've got to be conscious of all the possibilities of something maybe going wrong and someone picking up a COVID here? Or,
yeah.
It is challenging, isn't it, to get that sort of thing done, isn't it?
Well, as you know, right from the start, I've been wanting to build this, so we went to Snowdonia, walked up Snowdonia at night, and then we had a hungy in North Wales as well at another time, and played poker, just us, because of the pandemic. This is the first social I've been on since January, just for that reason, Liam. And right now, if I know now what I knew then, in terms of the increasing risk of COVID and the consequences for isolation, I probably wouldn't have done it if it was this Sunday. Honestly, I wouldn't. But we ended up going and getting away with it, really, because not one of us came down with COVID, not one. So yeah, it's either because we were very lucky or because we've all had it. It's one of the two. I don't know which.
That's great stuff. Look, just changing tack there. The Friday before you played the game against Saracens, it emerged that Denny Solomona was going to drop up with contract and take off. You don't have anything to add to that with regard to like Denny? I mean, you spoke in September about him, about how him coming back into the first team and getting back in it was kind of one of your prized moments as a director will be there, given his own situation.
Yeah, it still is.
What's it been like just having to say goodbye and then see him head off? I don't know. He's going to be trying his luck the other end of the world, isn't he?
Yeah. I'm happy for him. In that, I think this could be what he needs for him, for his overall happiness. Because try everything we did, he probably wasn't getting it here, and I've always maintained that you need to be at least content in all parts of your life to get the very best out of you on the field. The best players are those that have everything kind of sorted and flowing, and Denny didn't have those things. So that, look, it's a failure potentially on my part, but we tried with professionals everything we could to get him in that right spot, and try as we might, it was still too far a reach for him. I thought we were there, and we were in parts, but it was a bit of a struggle. So all of that sounds negative, but it's not negative if he's gone to a better place and him and his family are happy. You know what I mean? That's the way I can. That's the way I can. What's the word? Just justify my efforts and not feel like I've let him down. I don't think I've let him down. I think we've helped him get to a place where he was miles better than where he was when I turned up. He knows what he wants. He's taken his family out there, and I think he's going to be in a good place. So yeah, there's mixed feelings there, isn't there? There's mixed feelings because I didn't get what I wanted out of him here, but I think you'll probably see more of him to come.
Do we know yet what exactly he's going to do yet?
Well, I've heard that he's gone back to New Zealand. He misses his parents, his mum terribly. I hadn't seen her for years, and that was part of his motivation. He's now got a little daughter and a Wiganese wife. So he's taken a bit of Wigan back to New Zealand to see his parents. He's a little bit late on the recruitment front of what they have over there. What's a competition they have over there? The NCP.
Provincials.
Yeah, they've got that competition. I think they've signed up, so he's probably be doing the rounds for people who are needing a back three player or have an injury, and he can just jump in there last minute, and that'll be his route through to Super.
Okay, right. I know you only had him for a year there at Sale while you were there. I'm just wondering what sort of legacy does he leave to English rugby, given he blazed a trail. I mean, he came in from rugby league, and within a year he was being capped by Eddie Jones. And he was seen as a great potential finisher, etc. But what will people look back at him as someone who didn't fulfill his potential, unfortunately, or someone who just couldn't give the necessary commitment that was needed to actually be say an old Farrell sort of a player who plays 50 caps for England and goes out, that sort of a thing?
Well, obviously, I mean, if you look at just the statistics and his ability to earn 50 caps, and yeah, of course he's not been an Owen Farrell. I have a bit of an insight into Owen's background, obviously, and I understand how well supported he's been right throughout his life, through his parents and everything else, and basically lived at home till he was about 25, 24, in a wing of the Farrell's house, and still very close with his dad and his mum, and his wife's brilliant. He's got a very stable support base of which he's made the most of, because he's an unbelievable individual. I don't think Denny's had any of that. He hasn't had any of that. I don't want to get too personal, but he's from the back streets of Auckland, and he's gone around everywhere, and he's had as you know, because he's been in the press, quite a tumultuous backstory of relationships and ambivalence, so inconsistent peak and troughing at clubs, and he's now got himself to a place where he wants to see his family. He's very much in love with his wife. He's got a little baby girl, and maybe that's the springboard, the platform for him to push on. I'm sure it is. That's why I think it's a good thing for him to do what he's doing and going back there. So yeah, he hasn't achieved what maybe he could have achieved, but I don't think he's been given a level playing field. You've got to compare apples with apples, like an Owen Farrell and a Denny Solomona kind of comparison.
Okay, thanks for that feedback on that. He's a lovely fellow. I've interviewed him a couple of times, and he's really honest.
He is.
For mental health and bringing it into the game and making it a hot topic, which needs to happen, which is great. Just changing tack there, with Sam sitting alongside you there, you've got Steve Diamond back in the game now, working at Worcester. What's been the reaction there to see him back after a year?
I don't think anyone was surprised that he was going to get back in somewhere, somehow, because he still had a lot to give to the game. There was a little bit of what's he going to do, knowing, you know, better the devil you know type thing, knowing dimes, and a little bit of jokes cracked on the back that they won. You know, the Steve Diamond prodigal son, mercurial coach come there and fixed it already. But you always get that bounce, don't you, when new coaches come in eminently. I've had mine. So yeah, I think people were generally happy, not surprised, and a little bit in anticipation of what could come out and what he might do.
Would the question to ask you be that the Premiership is a better place to have a colourful guy like Steve involved?
Yeah, I think anyone of Steve's experience, yeah. Colourful, motivated, understands the game, or at least fundamentals of the game, they get performance. So I think, yeah. Yeah, and Worcester, although I can't say Worcester was struggling a bit because they beat us, but yeah, they needed a bit of help there, didn't they? A bit of guidance, and I think he'd be good for them. They'll steady the ship.
Yeah, good stuff. And just me being mischievous here, I mean, the second he arrived in the door, there was somebody linked Chris Ashton with a move back to Sale.
I spoke to Ashley, and I know in good faith that he drives, because he still lives near St Albans, he drives past the Saracens training ground and rings up Joe Shaw, and the coach is like, do you want me to pull in? And they're like, no, you're alright Ashley, keep driving. So I don't think we're the only club that he's been knocking the door of. I'd love him to see his career finish off well. I like the man. But at the moment our books are full. At the moment, let's never close the door.
Good stuff. Thank you, Alex. Much appreciated.
Cheers, Liam. We're out, Charlie.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time, lads. Appreciate it.